right center. That ball is gone into Monument Park.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the 41st episode of the Monument Park podcast. You look at the last 9 games, and you could argue that the Yankees could be 9-0. We're 6-3. We're still breathing, but we're here to break it all down. We had some really disappointing losses in there, and they were tough. We will not be discussing the Texas series. It was miserable. So we're just going to jump from the Indian series to the Rays series to the A's. Luke, my friend, how are you feeling about the Yankees?
I actually feel pretty good. I think the guys that we need to look good for the most part have looked good. Some of the injury news we've gotten is a little weirder than others, but there's some indication that we're close to getting even some more reinforcements back. And some guys are starting to play well, like Clay Holmes, since that disaster against Cleveland, has looked better. Mike King's kind of rounded out. He was a little rusty at first, you could definitely tell. Wandy's had his up and downs, but overall the bullpen's still been pretty good. And then Bader kind of gave us a jolt on offense. So, I honestly think everybody who we need to look good has looked pretty good, and I think it means good things are coming down the road.
Yeah, I agree. No, I mean, the team right now is what it is. You can't really pull too many positives or negatives, but I want to start off this episode, talking about these disappointing losses. I think most of it's in the hands of, or a good portion of it's in the hands of Aaron Boone. To go back to the first Cleveland game, Domingo Germán has 83 pitches going into the 9th inning. He's rolling. Me and Luke and I watched none of this game, I don't think. Like, very little. Domingo just rolled through 8 innings and gets the first out, and then, gives up a base hit, and then Boone, pulls him and goes to Clay Holmes, who just can't find the plate, and then, gives up a base hit. Then he gives up the tying run. Wandy comes in, walks in the go-ahead run. You get 8 innings out of Domingo Germán, 83 pitches going into that inning, and you lose the game. You can't waste a Domingo Germán verging on complete game. You can't. You just can't do that. So Boone not letting Domingo finish the game, all right. He had 1 out in the inning already. So to pull him out stunk. The double play is in order when he gives up that hit.
Yeah,
so
he's also facing a righty, Rosario, right, coming up. I think my opinion on it was I was always a little more I don't trust Germán. So when I saw he was getting pulled, I wasn't overly surprised, but I think he should have been able to see the righty. And then Ramirez is on deck. I would not have let him face Ramirez.
I mean, what you gotta factor in is he was rolling. You might not trust the guy, but this is his best. And
you gotta let him face Rosario, no question.
Gotta let him face Rosario. And to that point, I'm pretty sure Ramirez was over. So
yeah,
it's if there's a runner on second base, maybe you pull out Germán for Ramirez. Sure, fine. All right. I'll shake your hand on that. But let him face Rosario, man. He was over, I think. And
I think it was a 2-run lead too. Yeah, it was a 2-0 lead. I would have the only situation that when he pulled, I thought Boone was thinking about actually was in the event he got Rosario out with no double play. And then it's Ramirez is the tying run. And it's his 4th time seeing him. That's the only angle where I saw taking him out in any capacity made any sense. But there's no reason he shouldn't have faced Rosario.
Yeah, I think the time around argument is really analytical. And I know that Aaron Boone is just a puppet of the analytics. And unfortunately, that's just what it's become in baseball. But you look at, Dusty Baker, the older school guys. I know there's another older manager in baseball that I'm struggling to come up with that's also doing pretty good this year. I could just be
Buck Showalter.
Well, it's not Buck Showalter, but I'm pretty sure there's another one.
Regardless,
Oh,
no, there's
Bruce Bochy. You know, all around like the guys that are able to go with their gut a little more are, have recently been more successful, I think. I mean, I just wish the analytics didn't take over because when Domingo, like, you just got to use some common sense. Um, we ended up winning this game, so I'm not going to go too far in depth. This was also in the Cleveland series. It was the third game. Marinaccio comes in the, I want to say, seventh inning with one out, gets the two outs, gets through, or sorry, no, came in the eighth inning, worked it through the eighth inning, and they got two outs in the ninth. And the Yankees are winning the game by one. And then he brings in Holmes just 2 days after. Yeah, he's your closer, and yeah, you gotta, have trust in him. But 2 days after, Clay Holmes gives up a double and then a game tying single where Bader collided with Cabrera. We thought Bader may have been shaken up like right after he got off the injured list. Luckily, he wasn't. It actually that collision actually jolted him in to what he's doing right now, which is pretty fortunate for us. Just getting two outs in the ninth, and then to see Holmes come in and give up a double and then a game tying single to the pinch hitter Oscar Gonzalez on some deja vu playoff moment. It's
those were
just
tough. Those were like bloopers. It was tough.
I
It's
know
just like, of course,
it's like two outs in the
can't
ninth, like
buy one
2 days
anymore.
after Herman did what he did. You just can't have that. They ended up winning the game, and Trevino has hit his 91st walk-off on the Yankees, because that's just what he does. Um, can't have it. The game that we lost, and then going on to the Rays, the game that we lost, the first game in Tampa Bay, you make a 4-run comeback against the best team in baseball, down 4 runs, come back 4 runs, tie it up. And then you turn, I know the bullpen's, a little shorthanded. You've got the day off before, though, and you're turning the ball to Jimmy Cordero, who's really shown that he doesn't really have great command of the strike zone. So then you go into the seventh inning, leadoff walk to Jose Siri. And it's like, you can't be walking Jose Siri to lead off the inning. He's one of the fastest guys in the game. He can't hit. Like, I'm sorry. He's not a good hitter. I know he took our guy deep later, but can't walk him. And then, what happened after that wasn't his fault. Jake Bowers. I mean, I
He had
don't,
an out too, like
yeah,
even two. Like the inning was fine.
yeah.
Like he looked fine. That's what
I
sucked.
heard John Boy say this, that the Yankees just don't do left field. Like, they just don't do left field. It's just not what they do. You have Brett Gardner for so long, and you kind of become content. That's like what you had, whatever. You love Gardy or not, like, he was a solid left fielder. You haven't had one since. You just haven't. And having Jake Bowers running it all around, like, I know he made some crazy play into the wall, like putting his body into the line in Texas, but then we're hitting like, a line drive out in left field, and you can't make a read in, a tie game in the first game against the Rays, which I thought was going to
It
really
was
set the
hit
tone.
right to him.
Yeah.
And he turns the wrong way, turns back, drops it, and then kicks it to
Kicked
the
it. And
It's
then
not even dropped it, picked it up.
no, because if he drops it, picks it up, the
Give it a
runner
chance.
stays at third. And Anthony Volpe made an unbelievable relay to the plate. He was actually initially called out, which I thought was a little sketchy. I thought he was kind of safe from what I looked at it. I thought Trevino bobbled it. It wasn't actually a bobble. Diaz flew past him.
Yeah.
So, not really on Boone, but just Jimmy Cordero being the guy there is just unfortunate. And then turn to the third game. And this one, as I tweeted, hopefully the worst loss of the season, in terms of just maybe not just runs, but just, end of the season, October baseball, getting knocked out. You could argue that's the worst game of the season, being eliminated. I hope this is the worst game of the season. Blowing a 6-0 lead against the Rays. Offense was booming early. Home runs from Rizzo, home run for Bader. Bader hit, 3/4 of the cycle. It was the 5th inning. Everything's clicking. Cole's rolling, and then kind of hits the wall. Gives up his first home run of the season to Jose Siri. Gives up, I want to say, another home run or maybe a double in there. I don't know. He gave up 2 runs, and I want to say the 5th inning, 6-2 Yankees. And then he gives up yet another run the following inning to make it 6-3. And then, first and second after he gives up the run, nobody out. He has nothing. It's obvious he has nothing, but it's not that he just has nothing. He has 90 plus pitches. And we're in the 6th inning. And like I said, I know the bullpen's a little short, but he just clearly wasn't there. He clearly didn't have it. First pitch to Christian Bethancourt. Boom. Just hanging breaking ball. Just sat on it and crushed it over the center field wall. And right from there, it's like 6-6. And I don't know if you saw this, Luke, but they bring in Jimmy Cordero because that's just what they love to do. They just throw the fire on Jimmy Cordero.
Yeah, Siri ran all over them.
Ground ball, like they do a hit and
It was
run.
like a hit and run. That's
because the Rays are just going to do hit and runs with runners on second. Hit and run, little dribbler to Cordero. Cordero checks the plate, like looked at the plate, and then goes to first. Instead of checking the plate, maybe you check third, because by that point, I think Jose Siri's stepping on third, and he kind of chopped his feet, but he was not stopping. If Cordero waits a little bit, holds on to the ball a little bit longer, you might have Jose Siri in a rundown at third base, or he might just stay there, which would have been preferable. But instead, checks the plate. Like, who checks the plate? Like, he just expected the guy to be there, and then goes to first, and then he just keeps running, scores the run, tackles the umpire. They go up 7-6.
Threw the ball into the bullpen.
Yeah.
It was also just a bad throw to first. That's just a Rays play. They're running a hit and run with a runner on second and 1 out. Just not like a typical baseball play.
Yeah. And then after that,
do?
we come back, we tie the game. We get a ground ball from Trevino, who knocks in Bader after he hits his single. Thought he was going to hit the cycle. He was a double away. Knocks him in. Okay, tie game. And then I think we had Albert Abreu in extra innings. It was good. Like, the pitching was all there. Wandy looked great. King looked great. Got to extra innings. It was one of those games where you just feel like, all right, we just blew the 6-0 lead. We don't deserve to win, so we're probably not going to win. And then we didn't win. So that's kind of how I felt about it. You blow the 6-0 lead, you're not supposed to win.
There's a couple takes on this game. I was watching early, and the first at bat to Bettencourt, he must not be a good breaking ball guy, because Cole threw him 2 or 3 breaking balls, and they were hangers then. And this gets back to what we were talking about Herman, where you see a guy a couple times. Like, Bettencourt had already seen that pitch in previous at bats, and he was just, waiting on it. When you have a guy, he just didn't have his stuff. I just wish we had, that would have been a time where it's like, we have a guy like Clark in the bullpen, or a long reliever, where we don't have to go immediately to our actually good relievers.
Yeah.
Where you got to eat some innings. We just don't have that inning eater person right now. It's just not a part of our team at the moment.
Yep.
And then I had one other thing to say. I was honestly pleased that we didn't roll over and tie that game up. Even though we didn't win the game, obviously, it just shows we showed a lot of fight in this past stretch of games, which isn't like the front office isn't off the hook for how they constructed this. The Boone's not off the hook for some of these decisions, but just in general, like the team it could have been very easy for this team to just roll over and die
Yeah.
with how it's been constructed
Yeah.
and the injuries and stuff like our ace blowing a 6-run lead. I've seen some good. It hasn't been all bad. I just hope getting Judge back, getting Bader back. We haven't heard anything bad about Stanton, and he's been like kind of around. So hopefully that's good. Like I've seen him in the like he's not gonna be out forever. So I don't know. I'm feeling like we could get this thing turned around.
Yeah, I mean, back to the Bethencourt thing. I'm sure they pulled him over in the dugout and were like, "All right, if you see this pitch, you're crushing it." I feel like the Rays are very like, "All right, you finish your at bat, you're going and watching it on the video, and you're gonna make the adjustment." They're very analytical. They're very, you know, technologically stat savvy, and they're unbelievable. It wouldn't surprise me if they had something fishy going on. It's that crazy because they've got guys that have no, they just have no like they've
They
guys
also didn't look impressive. That was my other take. I didn't like they
well,
just
not
have a bunch
against
of
us.
guys where
Not
it's like
against
they're just
us.
over.
Overperforming.
I
Yeah, I
still
mean,
think they're completely overachieving, but that comes with
they've
time.
got Franco, they've got a Reserena, but then when it's
But
I I'm
Rosarena was hitting like 340. It's like,
I'm
oh my god,
I'm
when's this gonna
fine.
stop?
I'm fine with Yandy Diaz like being good because he was good last year and he was like pretty solid the year
Yeah, that's
before.
fine.
He's sick. They've got guys like Taylor Walls hitting 300.
That's
They've
what I
got
mean.
they've got I don't know, like Brandon Lau hits home runs. He doesn't really hit. He's like they had like 6 out of their 9 hitters were hitting over 290 and we didn't have one in our lineup. Like that was when I was like, all right, like yeah, we're overmatched, and then we weren't. Like we
Yeah,
weren't.
we played toe to toe with them.
So like Luke alluded to, Aaron Judge is back, and I think that's huge. Obviously, no blank, but um, Judge being back is just that there's not really words for that. It's just the team without him stinks, especially without Stanton. Because I feel like I said this last episode, like Judge and Stanton can both like carry the offense. Like when one's gone, the other can step up. Considering we don't have Stanton, having Judge be there having Judge back fills that void. But it was like when Judge wasn't there, Harrison Bader, who has been unstoppable. This guy has come off the injured list and maybe missed a game because he like hit his head or I don't even know. Missed a day. He's hitting 429 with 3 home runs, 12 hits. He's got 2 triples, 3 homers. So 5 of his 12 hits are extra base hits, 7 runs scored, 1341 OPS, 28 he's just been unstoppable. And when you're in a time like this where runs may be hard to come by, the offense kind of seems stagnant, not a lot of power. Excuse me. I think having a guy like Harrison Bader, who obviously is going to come back down to earth, but this is huge. Having him perform like this during this point in the season when you are struggling the most, a guy who's not going to go above and beyond all the time, but right now is where he is doing the most, and it's so beneficial for them. Because if Bader isn't playing like this, you could argue they get swept by the Rays, and the A series is the A series, but without him, where are we right now? Because he's really just, he's going up there and he's just swinging a toothpick and just crushing the ball.
No, yeah, big home run in the first game against the Rays. Go ahead hit after I think we failed to execute. Like we had first and second, 1 out. I think the batter before Bader got out, and then it was 2 out, second and third, and he got the hit, got everyone in. He's Mr. Moxie too. Like he wears the teal. He's loud. He's energetic. Like I feel like we have a lot of like Judge has always been a little quiet. Stanton's like weird. Volpe's like the young kid. Like we needed like Judge has picked up the leadership stuff, but it's like we needed a leader who isn't in Aaron Judge's shoes and can have a little moxie, can kind of yell. He does like kind of like a controlled version of what Brett Gardner did, where he's a little rowdy, but it's a good thing. And it helps when you're playing well. And I think when this team is hopefully full strength through the injuries, trade deadline, whatever, I think he's a great like bottom like 6-7 guy for us. If he especially if he keeps hitting. I mean, he doesn't need to hit like this, obviously, but if he figured it out from St. Louis to here, because in St. Louis he was a little
weird,
not the best. But I mean, if he's a sufficient hitter for us with the way he carried himself, his leadership, all that, he's a very important piece for us, and it shows. I mean, different team once he came back.
The defense, the hustle. It's like any ball he hits in the gap, he's looking 3. And it's very rare to have a guy like that who's just bringing so much energy every single day. And it's refreshing to see because, like, Luke said, it was like Brett Gardner, a little more controlled. Harrison Bader just got to the Bronx. He loves playing for the Yankees. He's not really comfortable yet. Took Gardy a little bit to really rile up. So I'm happy. I'm happy Bader's here. Fine with the trade. The trade's approved now. It's if it was ever up in the air, it's done now. Bader just needs to keep contributing in ways that we haven't really had contributors before in other categories where it's hustle and speed and defense out in center field. Like his defense is very good. He's very comfortable going gap to gap. He does this little backpedal thing, which always bothers me, but he knows what he's doing.
Getting behind the ball.
He is getting behind the ball. An interesting thing the Yankees did today, we don't have to talk much about their sweep of the Oakland A's because the A's are just like
they're the worst baseball team I've ever watched.
Luke asked me that like before the series if I had seen anyone that bad, and nothing's really coming to mind. I mean, obviously, like we saw the Orioles when they were at their worst, and we were just crushing them every single game, and like that was pretty bad. But in terms of just paper to players and then the performance, that team, like if there was ever a time to use the word poverty, that team's poverty.
They ran themselves out of town.
They traded everyone. They traded everyone and still managed to fleece us. Like the Yankees should feel so ashamed that they got fleeced for Frankie Montas. I don't care who they gave up. They traded us. They traded us damaged goods. They traded us an injured player. That's how you get fleeced. It's like fantasy football. Like if I'm trading you, Mike Evans, and I know he's injured, and you don't, you got fleeced. It doesn't matter. You got fleeced.
Everyone we traded them sucks.
Okay, fine. You still got fleeced. You still had to go through what you had to go through last year. Seeing him pitching hurt the team. Like he was bad. Like there's no argument there. Like you could argue that JP Sears running out there would have done better than Frankie Montas. Frankie was horrible. Are we forgetting that? He was horrible. And he's going to come back at some point this year. I know what's going to happen. And it's going to be July. He's going to get in there. And he's a stink. I'm done. No more Frankie. Done talking about the A's. We swept them. One of those things where it's like it's our first sweep of the season. It's our first 3-game winning streak. Should I be happy? No. Should I just be a little more confident in, what I've seen from these guys and hopefully the bats are getting going? Sure. But you can't be hype about beating that team. You just can't. Like, it's fun to watch. Like, it really is. Like, some of those wins were fun. But no.
Their guy, JJ Bleday's playing pretty well.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. I forget if we talked about him earlier, but
I just don't think a team like that's going to trade players that really aren't making any money. Because they were trading all the guys that were like really getting there, like Olsen, Murphy. Surprised they haven't traded Laureano yet. He's probably the highest paid player on their team. Montas, Manaya, all those guys. Yeah, I would love JJ Bleday as a long shot on the Yankees, but probably not. But
Oh,
going
cool
back,
down.
I just completely went off track. Davy Garcia got called back up. Now, I really don't think the Yankees would waste an option on Davy just to call him up and call him right back down. That doesn't really make sense because I feel like with a guy like him, it's like he was once a top prospect. We're not going to forget that. The Yankees, hold out hope on guys when they realize they screwed up and should have traded them, capitalized on their value, as Luke used to talk about many times on earlier episodes of the Bark. They never did that with Davey. And so now they're calling him up. They've completely moved him to the bullpen. He's exclusive in the bullpen. This year, 10 games, 20 innings. So he's going longer out of the bullpen. The control stinks. 16 walks in 20 innings. That's not good. The strikeouts aren't really that high. He's throwing 94, 95. He's got a cutter. He's got a slider and a changeup. But if they're going to call him up, like I said, they're not going to waste an option on the guy. They're either number one, they actually think he can fulfill the long relief role, or number two, they're trying to trade him and they're trying to show teams that he's worthwhile. Now, I would think they would try to boost his value as a starter because starters have more value. So maybe this whole long relief thing Luke was talking about, we need some, a length guy
A
because
2-3 inning guy, yeah.
until Carlos Rodon, if he ever comes back and Severino's back, you can't move Clark to the bullpen. Like you can do the Cole, Rodon, Nestor, Sevy, and then have Herman as your five. And I think that's probably what they'll do if they're all there, which is a long shot. You can have Schmidt as your long guy. But right now, I think getting Davey in there, getting some innings under his belt, building up that confidence. It's just the 94, 95 fastball is not like you can't get away with that.
I mean, he's 5'5", 115 pounds. It
Can't
just
get away with
it doesn't make sense.
If you saw the Bleday homer off him today, it's like he tried to run one in on him like 94, and it's like, all right, like he just turned his hands and just drove the ball. Like it didn't take anything. It wasn't like he was trying to, sneak in 98. He doesn't have a funky repertoire enough to get away with 94. Like Nestor can, because Nestor does a bunch of weird things. He can't. So yeah.
Nestor's got to teach him. I don't know.
I mean, what are they going to do? Like tell him to throw a sidearm? Like he goes up there and it just doesn't really seem like he cares. Like I know that seems ridiculous, but it's just like he's in his windup and he's just letting it go, and it's just like whatever happens, happens. So a little nerve wracking. I hope we don't see him in Jimmy Cordero spots anymore, or just need to just get another reliever because that would be big. We'll talk about the closing situation. We talked about Clay Holmes. What I found interesting about him the last time I saw him pitch is his slider is grosser than I've ever seen it. His sweeper, slider, whatever you want to call it, that pitch is gross. Like he just kept throwing it. And he's been doing that this year. The first time they played Cleveland, he had that ninth inning where he loaded the bases and couldn't find the plate. Remember this?
He just threw a slider
He threw the slider 3 times to Rosario and got him out. Now I just remembered kind of why they probably brought in Holmes to face Rosario.
That makes sense.
Yes. Not really. So he can't really command his two seam or sinker, which is problematic. His two seam too, that's a pitch that he was throwing for strikes, and he just hasn't been. The sinker's kind of moving all over the place. So he really needs to throw one of those 2 pitches for strikes because he can't just throw sliders every time as much as he wants to, because it was evident that he couldn't really find the plate. So these hitters could kind of prepare for that.
Yeah, you have to have a pitch that you can throw for a strike 100% of the time.
Well, a closer is supposed to have a signature pitch.
Like you have
And
to have a wipeout pitch, a pitch you could throw for a strike, and then usually a third. Like the
Well,
fact I don't feel like there's days where there's nothing that's gonna be a strike.
yeah, no, and that's
He
what
falls
it is,
apart.
man.
Like, I don't know.
You need, like you just said, you need a pitch to throw for a strike, and then you need a signature pitch. Now, Ron Marinaccio, I just want to throw out some guys that could potentially be a closer or some guy that we could just test out. Ron Marinaccio, as you're not going to like this one. You want to know what Aaron Boone calls him?
What?
Chachi.
Chachi? It's not bad, actually. Thought it was gonna be worse. He scared me.
Ronnie Marinaccio has the fastball and the changeup. The changeup is his pitch. Every closer has a pitch. You know, Chapman with the fastball, Jansen with the cutter. I could list off many more. He's got the pitch. I don't feel like that guy gets easily rattled at all. I don't know how you feel about Marinaccio in a closing role.
We got to try something.
Why not?
Like
Ian
I don't want to see
Hamilton.
Clay Holmes be the everyday closer when there's days
Yep.
where it's just going to be 3 walks and then you take him out. Like that's not.
Yeah. What I saw from Ian Hamilton in the Rays game, and Boone said this after the game, and I don't necessarily like listening to Aaron Boone after the game because I feel like some of what he says is just repetitive and flat out dumb. But Ian Hamilton goes out there in the 9th inning like it was any other outing. And I think that's key. Having a guy clean slate, nothing really bothers him. You put him in there. He's not really overthinking. He goes in there. He gets his work in 1, 2, 3, whatever, maybe a walk, but he does the job. That's what you need. It might not be a sexy option. Obviously, it's not what we drew up at the beginning of the season. Ian Hamilton was going to be our closer. Excuse me. But you could say the same thing about Clay Holmes. Ian Hamilton.
7 ERA in Pittsburgh. We traded him for Boyd Park. It's the same thing.
Why not try it? Because that slambio he throws is gross. And it's going to get guys out in big spots. And he throws the fastball. Salutes Jabba Chamberlain with the midges. I like Hamilton in the closing role. I do. It's interesting. It's something that I think the Yankees could really try out, and why not?
I like his makeup too. Like he's had a lot of like perseverance in his life. Like nothing phases him. It's funny. It reminds me of like the Dion when Dion said that he wants his like O lineman to be from like family oriented houses and his defenders. Like this is making me think of that because he's been through so much to get to the spot, and it's clear that he's not like he just goes and pitches. He has nothing to lose. That's what it is. It's the nothing to lose thing. The thing with closers is they build up this reputation and they get nervous because it's like they have to keep their reputation. But Ian Hamilton is like a new guy on the team, barely made it, came through so much to even get to this spot that he just goes out there and pitches. And that's what, that's a closer mentality. I think he has the makeup for it. We should try anything. It should be by committee, the hot hand. We don't have a signature guy right now. So
you're saying Ian Hamilton has nothing to lose. And I feel like some of these closers, like you said, build up this reputation. They have something to lose, and that's their job. Aroldis Chapman would go out there and stink for weeks on end. And then they were just like, we can't do it anymore. We can't. You have other guys, Betances and Loizaga, and, they fill in that role. But when you just don't have anything to lose, like the only thing you're worrying about is just when you're going to be pitching next and not, oh my god, the situation, it's
When
too
you come
like
into the season on all the MLB top 10 closer lists, you maybe get a contract or whatever.
yeah,
There's so much, and your job is to get 3 outs. It's like a kicker.
right,
It
yeah,
seems so simple that
kicker,
it just gets to them.
yeah,
And I think this would be kind of a breath of fresh air where we're not worried about him just losing it. And then if he stinks, I mean, he's Ian Hamilton, and it's like, okay, yeah. And then you
whatever.
adjust. But we don't have a guy right now that, like, we didn't come in with a surefire closer. Like, it was Holmes, but not
Yeah,
like he had a weird year. So you
I
never know. I think this is a time to try some things.
I would love to say Wandy is an option, but the thing is, Wandy's your only lefty, so you have to utilize Wandy like in the right spots. It's like kind of like Wandy's, what inning Wandy goes in is kind of up in the air, whether
He's
it's the
just our
seventh
agent
or
of
eighth.
chaos. He just
Right.
comes in
Just bring him
chaos.
in. Why not?
Yeah.
He'll put on his fireman's hat and a hose, and
And just
he'll
throw change ups.
good change up. So I mean, if they went out and got traded for another reliever, a left-handed reliever, which they'll never do.
They have
When
to.
was the last time the Yankees had more than two left-handed relievers? Andrew Miller and Chapman. I mean,
Must they
I
gotta get one.
Zach Britton. I forgot about Zach
Oh
Britton.
yeah.
Ugh,
Where's he?
nowhere. Probably flipping pizzas.
Really? Didn't get it.
Never got a job. Nope, that guy's a mess. I'm so glad he's not in the Yankees anymore. Oh my gosh. It was like him and Chapman. It was like Britton throws a scoreless eighth, Chapman blows the save. It's like
We won't pay another reliever
no.
for a quarter century.
Unless it's a guy that's like already been on the team, or it's like Loizaga, maybe we'll pay him a little bit, keep him around. Maybe not a closer.
So good. He is just
I also think like there were options in the offseason, like Kenley Jansen, who's just 35 saves every year. He's going to go out there. He's going to know where the ball's going, and you can kind of just relax in the ninth inning as opposed to Chapman just closing his eyes and just throwing the ball. Liam Hendricks.
Yeah.
Talked about Liam Hendricks. I love the story. The story's great. Bring him out. He's supposed to be coming back, I think, over the weekend.
I mean, if he looks good and they just keep getting blown out. Sure.
Right. What's the point of having a closer if you're just going to lose every game?
I think they just go into every. Like, I feel like the Yankees just address the bullpen at the trade deadline. And then that's just what they do. And then they tried to pay these guys, and it completely blew up in their face. And now I feel like they're just scared to pay a guy.
Right. So, I mean, if we're just in this, like, we have nothing to lose, like, just use anyone in the closer role. Like, I don't really see, like, why trading for Liam Hendricks is necessarily a bad idea. If we can get him for the right price, yes, he's making money, but I feel like we've got some money to spend or some money to shed.
Yeah.
So try it. Why not? Luke, what would you like to talk about next? Because we've got some other things, maybe a little minor league talk.
Yeah, I mean, I've already talked about Austin Wells a lot, but he's a lefty and rakes and played outfield in college. And I feel like they play him at catcher to keep his status in order in case of trades. Like, I think it's kind of just like we kind of know he could play like an all right left field. And
I
so
don't know, dude.
I mean, if he's played it before.
Yeah,
This goes back to the
2019?
Oswaldo. Huh? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's left field. Like,
Yeah, well, Oswaldo is an athletic human being. Austin Wells is not.
yeah, he's a
This can
6'2".
go back to the Oswaldo thing, but Austin Wells is 6'2", 220, runs around. You
He
want
would
that guy
be
covering
fine.
left field?
I mean, we have Jake Bowers.
I I know we have Jake Bowers, but like,
And we need a lefty bat. And it's like if it's between that and Jock, like what's Jock gonna come in and flash the leather? Like he can. I'd love Jock, but if
we're
we
not
can't,
going to get anyone that flashes the leather that can
that's
hit.
what I'm saying. So it's like why not?
Fair. All right. I just don't want him to get hurt.
I mean, he's not gonna catch at the major league level anyway, so I don't know.
Then
We'll
what?
see.
Well, no, yeah, I know. I really do think they're trying to trade him if they just continue to play him at catcher.
It makes no sense.
No, I really do think he's like a left-handed bat that can come to the big leagues and hit 270 to 280 immediately.
Like right now.
because he just hits the ball hard. Like he just does. And he has command of the strike zone. We talked about Spencer Jones in the last episode, 2 episodes. He struck out like 100 times. It's like in single leg. It's like, all right,
I think Dominguez is having some strikeout issues too, or it was.
he's actually walked 23.5% this year.
Oh,
That's
interesting.
ridiculous. And his ISO, I don't know. I saw a stat. ISO's a stat.
Is he doing the Juan Soto thing right now?
Like maybe. Like his stats aren't not pretty, but he's
No,
been
well,
playing
his
a lot
batting
better.
average isn't pretty. Everything else is fine. I mean, he's equal in strikeouts and walks. So
That's good.
yeah, but he's walking a ton. You're right.
Austin Wells homered in 4 consecutive games. Did not homer today, or shall I say yesterday, or 2 days ago. By the time this episode comes out, but 4 home runs in a row. I think it's time to get him to AAA in a week. Just to, like Luke said, 934 OPS and 44 at bats, lefty bat. Feel like he's a seasoned enough player to the point where you can confidently bring him up to the majors and be excited and expect something as opposed to, all right, we'll see. Right? I mean,
it cannot hurt.
Can't hurt. That's the thing. Maybe the episode is it can't hurt. Like, why not? Nothing to lose. Let's just go out there and call up our guys. Another guy, I think, since losing Stanton, one thing that we've missed big is a right-handed hitter that can change the game in one swing. No, we have Judge, obviously, but without Stanton, you have a guy like Andres Chaparro who can hit 250 maybe at the big league level and just give you a chance to hit a home run at any point. The guy's right now hitting 282, 10 homers, 27 RBIs, a 355 OBP, which is totally fine, and then 944 OPS. That means he's slugging in the fives. Or close to the fives. That's very good. Very, very good. Right-handed, he's probably not going to play the field, but you could just DH him. And it's probably just as good as Jake Bauers, if not much better.
Yeah, I mean the like thought process behind calling this guy up is the thought process they had with Bowers, where it's like he's smoking hot in the minors.
Yep.
Like, let's just kind of see. I still think they'll give Bowers some more run. I also think a lot. It's so clogged with like weird bad players.
Like Willie Calhoun should not be in the big leagues.
Yeah, I mean,
if it means it gives Chaparro a chance. Like, this is not Jake Bauers. Jake Bauers has played in the big leagues before. This guy's 24, hasn't seen the big leagues. And we could call him up and he could be, I don't know, he could be Tyler Austin or he could just be, Barry Bonds. Like, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, it's worth a shot. I just think it's going to have to, like, make sense with our bench. Our bench is just pretty clogged.
I think we've got a lot of lefties on the team right now. I think we have.
It's not about lefty righty. It's about defense.
But if we're just going to DH the guy.
Well, we can't have we're not going to call a guy up just to DH.
I mean, you can play first.
Yeah, I guess. No, I mean, it's an interesting one. I mean, if he keeps hitting.
I don't see why he wouldn't.
Yeah. I think Rizzo would have to get hurt, to be honest. They don't like having a set DH. You could tell. When Stan's not in the lineup, they do the whole, like, around the
thing. Well, he doesn't have to play every day. I just want a guy that can step in and give you home run power. Because right now, it's just Rizzo and Judge. That's like home run. Like, they're coming up to the plate, and you're like, all right, they could homer right here. Like, no pitchers like you're too afraid of. No, he could homer right now. Like, you have Glaber, it's like, is he really going to come up and hit a home run? Probably not. We saw a report that, someone in the Yankee higher ups thinks that Jason Dominguez could be in the big leagues by the end of the year. Now, he has to start to hit a little better and more consistently for that to happen. I don't think it's completely out of. I think there's a possibility it could happen. I also think there's probably a bigger possibility that it won't. I think he's a very talented player. I think if they get to the end of the year, hovering around that 92 to 93 win mark, first or second in the wild card, and they could call up a guy like him where it's like, all right, we bring him up and he could bring this difference that we don't already have. And this, while our record says we're 93 wins, we're actually better than who's in front of us because we have Dominguez. And I think if he could make that impact at the big league level, enough of an impact to, play him and actually start to see results, I don't see why you don't do it. Because, I mean, if we're talking about service time, we called up Volpe from the jump. We didn't have to. We could have just held him down, given him, ample at bats in AAA until we earn the extra year of team control. Now with Dominguez, it's like, all right, well, we really do need another outfielder on this team, unless we're just going to go trade for one.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see where we're at.
Like if they stick with the Oswaldo experiment in the outfield, and it's going all right, maybe it's going poorly by middle to late August, and Jason's hitting the ball well, why not?
No, I mean I'm for it. If I mean, we're just gonna have to see. It's gonna be so different when we're at a period of time where it actually makes sense to call him up.
Yeah.
That it's hard to debate right now because there's so many variables we just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm always for it. I don't think saving for service times
it's not a thing.
I think if he's playing well and he can bring something to us.
I think it's a player of that caliber. It's like service time is like, did you see what happened to the relationship between Chris Bryant and the Cubs? Like, they did that to him, top prospect in the game, maybe, top 5, maybe even the best. They held him down in the minor leagues just to get that extra year. Now, think where he's at, where his head's at. Like, he knows he's a great player. He knows he's going to get to the big leagues and just tear the cover off the ball, which he ended up doing, Rookie of the Year and MVP in his first 2 seasons. And you're going to have another team control, another year of me making very little money to just hold me down. Like, that could really just kill your relationship with a player. And I know it might not be as big of a deal nowadays, but I just hate that. I hate that. Call the guy up when it's right. Like the Mets did the right thing, called Pete Alonso up. Wasn't the highest prospect in the game. But what happened? They called him up from the jump, and he broke Judge's rookie home run record. Like, you got to just do what you have to do if you want to win. If Jason Dominguez can be the difference between us beating the Astros and not, or whoever's in front of us, do it. Please do it.
Yeah. I mean, if we're building, if the lineup I always talk about, the full strength, the trade deadline, yada, 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 we get to mid-August, September, and we have that, but it's there's that one piece where maybe Oswaldo's playing 4 or 5 times a week, but it's not enough, or even we just want to give him run and see if he can be an X factor. You got to take those types of chances because that can be the difference between a championship and not.
So I just feel like also we have not been in this position before where it's we feel like we're going to be in that wild card spot by the end of the year because we kind of expect Tampa to kind of veer off a little bit, but continue to play good enough to maintain this lead. Maybe not very long, as Boone called it, a long blank season.
Yeah,
we've seen crazier things, teams fall out, and I don't want to think, but I think what the Rays got going right now is something crazy, and I don't know if they're going to just fall off a cliff like some teams might, because that's not really what they do. The Rays don't really fall off a cliff. They kind of stick around all year, whether, how great of a start they get off to or not. I do think it's possible, but I think if it's different for us to get to the end of the year, be in this kind of fringe position and then have a guy like Dominguez, the talent that he's got, that we could just like, pull from our back
imagine
pocket
he's like hitting eighth and playing left field,
and just
and you get down to
crushing.
8, and it's like, oh my god, it's Jason Dominguez. That's what I mean. Like
Yep.
that would be nuts.
Yep.
Trade for a bat, Bader hitting whatever decent, and then you got him straight into Trevino, top of the order. It's like there's no that type of stuff wears on pitchers.
Yep.
Like having depth in the lineup wears on pitchers, and I really think that's
look at the
something
Astros. Look at the Astros.
I know it's something we've lacked. We've been too top heavy, and now with these prospects coming up, it's kind of like we kind of see the depth forming. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
it's
an exciting thought.
You look at the Astros, and it's like you get to the playoffs. It's like the regular season. Martin Maldonado is one of the worst hitters in baseball. You get to the playoffs, and all of a sudden that guy starts hitting the ball, and it's like, what are we supposed to do? Like we're going 1 through 9 here, and when we got to go through some, what catcher now, like when you've got to worry about the 9 hitter, like you got to get through the 8th, like the 1 through 8, and then it's like, all right, like the 9 hitter. Like Jose Trevino is your 9 hitter. It's like, all right, like that's a pretty solid 9 hitter considering he's very clutch. It's like, if we could build a 1 through 8 and then just have that to have them figure it out. Yeah, I like where this is going. I do. I really need the Rizzos and the DJs and the Glabers to just step up, continue to step up.
Contract, bro. Like
play to the contract, play to the number, play to
who you are. Like
play to the back of your baseball card, as they say. Please just play to the back, please. I think we could talk about some trade guys. Oh, Luke and I were shooting it before, and we were coming up some names. Rowdy Tellez is a name that Luke and I came up with, and it's like, like Luke said, like they don't like to just do like the DH thing where it's just like that's your one position.
Different if it's a lefty though, because that's what we lack.
Different when it's a lefty. That's true. This guy, he plays in Milwaukee. I think the Brewers stink. I don't really know what their record is, but that division's just whatever.
I mean, the Cubs are going to win it.
Yeah. Rowdy Tellez, 10 home runs and 113 at-bats, which is an absurd number. He's got an 858 OPS. He's not really getting on base too much, 318 OBP, but 14 walks to 32 strikeouts isn't the worst thing I've ever seen. You looked last year, his full season, he played 153 games. Probably the guy, like, who was talking about Rowdy Tellez hitting 35 bombs last year? Who said anything about that? I didn't know about that. 23 doubles last year.
They're not cheap either. He hits it far.
He had 58 extra base hits last year. Who knew that? He had 50.
If he runs that back.
Luke, listen to this stat. 58 extra base hits last year, 116 total hits. Half of his hits were extra bases.
He crushes the ball.
I know he hit 220, and that's fine. But when half of your base hits are extra bases.
I don't know what his contract details are, but if he's a guy,
he's making like $5-6 million this year. He's under control next year. It's
probably like where the Braves just like took a chance on a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
Like this is a guy where if you take a chance and he gets hot, it's like, oh, like every time he comes up, it's like, wow, this could be.
Yeah. No, I know. Like
it's just a little different this time than last year, where last year we kind of knew Benintendi was going to be a trade option, and he's an established professional baseball player. And this year, like we have Jock, but other than that, you don't know who's getting traded, and they're not like household names. Like everybody knows Jock Peterson can hit.
Like Jock Peterson can hit, but is Jock Peterson the same 276 that he was last year? God, no.
It's not about I mean,
like he played last year. He was a fantastic player.
Yeah, he's never
going to be that
guy, but he's
an
established hitter that can hit in the playoffs. That's really just all it is.
Yeah.
Like it's similar. It's like we're gonna have to take more shots. Like that's the most
I like taking the shots. I like a guy like Rowdy Tellez, a guy that really no one's probably talking about right now. Just an all-around power hitter, left-handed, not going to strike out 800 times like Joey, you know what, did. I would like that. That would be cool. Jock
No.
Peterson in the playoffs, 256 hitter, 814 OPS, 12 home runs, 29 RBIs, 79 career games. Like very, very
That's the
solid.
thing is you just know he's like you know what you're getting with him. That's my point. Is there isn't really that this trade deadline. I feel like sometimes more than others, there's trade deadlines where it's like, okay, we know this guy's gonna move, this guy's gonna move, this guy's gonna move, and we know they're good. I don't know. I mean, I feel like people are gonna be fighting for Jock services because it's a lack of just a lack right now.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, there's him. I really do think they could use a closer, but there are so few guys that I would be like, all right, I'm fine with that. Like, I want to get a guy that's already closing games. And there's so few that it's like, all right, like, thumbs up. Liam Hendricks,
We'll see. No, I mean,
Taylor Rogers having a really bad year, supposedly.
allegedly, I don't know if
Let's see.
you might have just blown a game and people are getting mad, but
Maybe because people do that.
Yep.
Rogers on the Giants. Taylor Rogers, 5.91 ERA.
it's not great.
Not really closing games. He's not their closer. That's the thing. So he's just not closing. So why, last year, he blew 10 saves last year. Yeah, that's not good. 31 saves out of 41 tries. Yeah, I think I'm off Taylor Rogers.
Yep.
See what I'm saying? It's like there's so few
There's not.
that you can trust in. And like there's so few teams where it's like Alexis Diaz on the Reds. It's like
no, I mean the
he's not
standings are also
established.
slumped right now. You don't really know.
Rockies, like who's their closer? Daniel Bard. It's like, is that our guy? Like, I don't think so. He's not even closing games.
We're not
for them
gonna
this
have
year.
an established closer. We're just gonna get more guys that could like maybe and then
Brad Hand was on the Rockies, our favorite.
well, he's bad. So
Well, I'm not suggesting him.
no, I know. Yeah, I mean, I feel like last year we kind of got spoiled with the ability of like knowing who's gonna get traded so early. And it's just like we're gonna have to wait and see.
That is what we're gonna have to do.
I think we're gonna bust Tampa up a little bit though.
I think we're gonna bust Tampa up too. But I want to talk about these two starters that allegedly are coming back. Maybe not.
Well,
Luis Severino.
Sevy's like close.
Sevy's pitching in a rehab today at 11 o'clock in the morning, which is not what he wanted to do. He wanted to pitch the Friday night game so he didn't have to stay the night in Scranton. I don't blame him. But the Yankees, control him and are able to tell him no. So we pay him his contract. So he's pitching the 11 o'clock game today. We'll see how. Oh wait, no, he pitched. He already had his rehab.
He pitched. Yeah.
Excuse me.
In a wheelchair, so that's good.
He's fine. Okay, we'll get another rehab out of him, and hopefully he's back soon. Carlos Rodon. This is turning out.
Tweeting. It's like,
This is turning out to be like right now. Like I know it's early, but it's just as the season goes on, and as you start to see guys that you could have had, and you throw so much money at this guy at a position where it's like, yeah, you could use it, yeah, you could upgrade, but we had glaring needs and did not address them. So we went out and got the pretty left-handed starter. And now he's got chronic back pain. Like, where the heck did that come from? Like, you just can't have it. You can't have it.
It's
chronic back pain.
Like there's no
okay,
answer.
Like we thought he had an injury. Like, okay, everyone gets injured, and he gets injured. Chronic back pain is something that just doesn't go away. And that wasn't even the injury.
I don't know what. She's gonna have to learn to pit like
it's head, shoulders, knees, and toes, and everything hurts.
Yep. No, I mean, there's nothing we can really even.
Just strap it on and go out there and pitch, dude. Come on. Like, I'm sick of it.
Don't push it, but if it gets to June, it's like, dude, we gotta.
If he doesn't throw a pitch by my birthday, June 14th,
He's not gonna. He is
rehab.
not throwing.
Rehab. If
Okay,
he doesn't
yeah.
throw a rehab pitch by my birthday in the middle of June, he's officially Carl Pavano.
That's so dramatic.
Tagawa, Carl Pavano, Jacoby Ellsbury, dead. Trade
That's
him,
so dramatic.
release him, get him out. I don't want to see him. If he doesn't throw a rehab pitch by the middle of June, there's something wrong with this guy. And there will always be something wrong with this guy because let me just pull up the definition of chronic because
that's funny. I looked it up the other day. So I was like, what exactly?
persisting for a long time or constantly recurring. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you.
No.
Thank you for
I don't know.
fleecing us.
I was talking to Nick today, and
Our friend Nick.
Our friend Nick. And it's like he was saying, he's like, what's Carlos gonna be like? Like, yeah, I really want this contract with all this money, but my back, it hurts. I don't know. Like, he's not gonna say that. Like, there was nothing we could have done. Like, I don't know what.
Well, there's physicals.
I know. I agree. Our medical, I mean, it's been such a disaster for
No. There's no physical when Frankie Montas got pulled out of 6 different starts and the Yankees still opted to trade for him.
That's what I mean. Like, there's no way. Like, our medical staff must be a level of incompetent.
It's like you and I are out there just being like,
I don't think.
Yeah, that looks good.
That's what I mean.
It's like handing in a homework at like 3 a.m. and you just don't want to do it. It's like, yeah, there you go. I'm getting an 86. Like, it's fine.
I can't understand why this keeps happening. I just can't.
There's got to be something wrong at the front in the
That's
front
what
office.
I mean. But it's like we keep blaming these players, and it's like, well, whoever we trade for just gets hurt or sucks. So I don't like what else is like it's an us problem. Like I don't know. I mean, we just have to keep dealing with it. Just got to get the cortisone shot in play.
Yeah, no, just stick a needle in me and let's go.
Just get it.
Like Luke said, we're getting the Rays, and I think this is gonna say a lot about our team. Just in general, you know, you lose 2 out of 3 to them. You shouldn't have. You should have probably taken 2 out of 3 or swept them. But then you get them back. You get 4 against them at home. I would love to take 3 out of 4. It's probably going to be a split. I really just need a split at least. Keep it where it's at. But I do think that the Yankees could take 3 out of 4 for them. We got Judge back. We've got Cole and Nestor to go out there and pitch. You know, yeah, they've got McClanahan going against Nestor, and that's going to be a little weird.
That game's going to be tough, but yeah, these are going to be. I mean, Cortez is tough because McClanahan, and then it's like they got Zach Eflin, who's just one of those guys that they have that's just playing good for no reason. But
highest paid Ray ever. Highest paid Ray ever. Zach Eflin.
Tomorrow's huge. Thursday's a big game. If we can win that and then go and get a Cole revenge start.
We just need the umpires. We just need the umpires to take Zach Eflin's wedding band off his finger because I think he got rattled.
Everybody's so dramatic. Like, put the ring in your pocket. Like, stop making it a whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
I also think it's the dude's wedding ring. It's like,
it's completely stupid they made him take it off in the first place. But
yeah, no, it was like,
everything just has to be drama. I don't know. I just don't think it's like necessary.
We need the split. Who do we get after that? We go out and play the Blue Jays in Toronto. Sweet. No, but I think we get some easy games there.
Yeah, I mean, it has to let up.
Got to be easy, right?
The Reds. All right, that's sick. Reds and
Nice.
then Orioles. Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully they're
They-
cooled off by then.
They're already cooling off.
Are they?
Or no, the reverse. They beat the Rays. But like, I don't know. They don't have pitching. I don't get how they're like winning games.
I don't either.
Hopefully,
I don't know a lot of these different things. A lot of it doesn't make any sense to me. Just like how Brent Rooker has the highest OPS in baseball. That doesn't make any sense. He was trash. Did he get a hit? Welcome to the Bronx. No, he went 2 for 5, 1 for 5, 1 for 3. Clearly didn't watch any of these games.
we won by like 8 runs a game.
Yeah, it didn't matter. Well,
yeah, got to get through this next stretch with the Rays and the Blue Jays, and I feel like it's kind of gonna be like, all right,
yeah, and that's probably the
we're
next time.
okay.
That's probably the next time we will be on here. I think once a week is realistic in the summer. Very realistic. I think it's, with all these games going, I think I just feel like there's so much to talk about in such a short period of time, and the Yankees are weird, and they always are weird, but I think they're in a weird spot where it's like, all right, like we could really turn it on with some big wins. Like you got to have some big series wins. Like there's no winning the division without taking 3 out of 4 from the Rays at home.
Yeah.
You gotta, like, these are the games where at the end of the year, it's like you had a chance to beat them on your own and not rely on someone else to beat them, and then you win on your own. Like these are the games that separate you from wild card and division winner. So
Still, yeah, it's still. We keep going back to we didn't have a completed roster at the beginning of the season, which we don't.
Yep.
But the positions we have filled are talented, and I still think there's a very good shot we're going to be where we want to be. Maybe not in the regular season standings, but getting into hopefully. I mean, if we come in hot with a wild card, it's going to be like nobody's going to want to play us at all.
I'm not really scared of too many people in the American League right now.
Talent wise, I'm not. I'm scared of us. Like
I'm scared of us. No, it's
the Astros and then us. I'm scared of the Astros more than I'm scared of us. But I'm scared of us primarily. Like,
yep. No, I am too.
Just gotta see how it plays out.
The Astros don't have Altuve right now. I didn't even.
No, yeah, and Jose Abreu's cold. He'll pick it up.
Yeah,
they're gonna landslide that. They're very bad.
Yeah, no, that's been a surprise. Well, you just got to cross your fingers and hope the Yankees can really, put their foot on the gas and take these games against these division rivals, because if they don't, if they fall apart this week, we're going to have a pretty depressing next episode. So let's go Yankees. Thank you all for listening and watching. We will see you in a week.